right. You know what? I could have done this tomorrow, and I could have worn my best clobber, but I've got my work. In fact, you know what?
To be fair, that is on me for going.
I've got my thermal socks on.
I've had thermal socks on.
Oh, yes.
You kind of helped me though, because my missus was like, I was supposed to go around tonight.
Can you come round?
I was supposed to go around to fit something tonight on the shower.
Hey.
Do a bit of plumbing.
Gotta fit something in those pipes. Hey.
Right, anyway.
I'm going to sit properly.
Everyone.
Sorry.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Gareth.
And I've ruined it already.
And today we have our guest.
The man behind Takona. Some of you might know. We've kindly been on your podcast.
It was very kind of you to make me travel all the way up here.
Yeah, we thought, return the favour.
I did have to wrestle him just to get on there. But...
Yeah, he's a busy man. But introduce yourself, Mr. Takona.
I am the guy behind Takona, and I make clothing. No,
You make clothes. You literally make.
I literally
your
make clothing. No, I design clothing that is intentional to get people talking to one another through their passion for cars. So a lot of my stuff has cars on it, or racing liveries, or car-themed artwork to act as a bit of a signpost to go, I like cars, come and talk to me, I'll be your friend.
Interesting.
And hopefully that gets enough people chatting and making friends, and it does some good for mental health awareness.
So the whole idea behind Takona, I hadn't heard of Takona until we spoke.
Yeah.
But then, I've not really had my ear to the ground for anything really car related, bar just detailing.
Yeah.
So obviously we spoke months ago, wasn't it, when you first came down here? Looked into it, and then it was only when we started sharing some of your posts.
Yeah.
Quite a few of our customers and followers and friends were like, "Oh, Takona. Oh, mad. Oh, you know Takona. You know Lewis."
That's weird. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really
That's an uncomfortable feeling.
My brand's doing what it's supposed to do. I don't like it.
Crap, the
People
name's
know
getting
me.
out there. Oh no.
But yeah, so it's quite cool. And then obviously now we've got to know each other a bit more, we realise that, it seems to be a very well-known brand. Can you call it a brand? Is it a group?
The idea is that it's a brand. So I used to work in secure hospitals, and the biggest skill and the thing that made the most difference was getting people to talk. And then after working there, I worked in sales for UPS in a corporate world, which is very boring.
My phone.
And
Sorry, my phone's buzzing.
so professional. Bloody hell.
Tell me about it.
So I then worked in corporate sales, and what I found was if I could get somebody talking about a common interest, usually cars, because I don't really pay attention to anything else, it would make the conversation so much easier. It would just lubricate whatever we're talking about.
Well, it gives you something to relate to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's some common ground that we can meet in the middle, and it helps kind of that personal aspect to like a business relationship. And from those kind of two reference points, the idea kind of sprung about that, well, if we can do something that creates that, like the reference of I like cars, without you having to go through all the small talk of, what are you interested in? What football team do you support? All of that stuff. Well, it does all the heavy lifting right at the start. And if we can get people talking about cars, we can get them talking about anything, because it makes any conversation a bit easier to have this common interest. And so it made sense to create branding that was recognisably cars, and a lot of the stuff is car artwork and it's got cars on it, but the other side of it is kind of some of the logos and some of the styles, they're automotive, if you know automotive.
Like the Marlboro.
Yeah, like the Marlboro hat. If you don't
yeah.
know automotive, you just go, oh, it's Marlboro, or it's
fags.
Yeah, it's all
One or the
cigarettes, or it's old Formula One or something like that.
I was going to say, people recognise
can I
it
say
from
fags?
old Formula One. Yeah, of course you can. It's the
You've
context.
said it now.
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes we'll go with. But it's kind of automotive if you know automotive.
Yeah.
But if you don't really know cars, you won't get the reference. And it's a bit of a, if you know, kind of, are you part of the club? Have you got... So some of them have got like really recognisable racing liveries, but through a logo rather than on a car.
Yeah.
So if you know your racing image, you go, oh, that's Falcon. It's got the two shades of blue with the.
You can approach the person
Yeah, you go,
who's wearing it.
That's cars. And because the brand is growing in the sense of people know what it stands for, they know what it means, they know it's about community and conversation and getting people talking. If you see the brand out in the wild, you go, that's a person I can talk to because they're outwardly saying so. Like if you've got this sweatshirt on that says it's okay to talk, you can't be the guy, I don't want to talk to anyone because it's written right across the front, it's okay to talk. And that's the idea, was let's make a brand and use the power of brand awareness to actually make some positive impact rather than just making car t-shirts. Go, right, this actually stands for a bit more than that. And all of the stuff that the automotive world brings out, like making friends with strangers within like 5 minutes.
Well, yeah.
That's the benefit of cars.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, we've spoken about it before, haven't we? We have it with customers of ours. You know, we've never gone down the kind of corporate route of, hi sir, here's your car, here's your product, there you go. We've always ended up building rapport, getting friendly, getting to know customers. I mean,
we've got quite a few customers who we made friends.
We are actually friends with.
Yeah.
And again, it's because we've got that common ground. They're into their cars. Obviously, they're having their car done with us. So there's that. We're into cars because we work in the industry. We got into the industry because we like cars. So that is cool. But you obviously you've got this brand. Where did it actually stem from, this whole talk? Obviously, a lot of it is derived. It's all to do with mental health, isn't it? So it's obviously building that awareness. Now, where did that start?
So when I was a teenager, I had a 1988 Mini as my first car.
I've literally got that in the notes in front
Have
of
you got
me.
it in the notes?
Mini Mayfair, was it, by any chance?
Yeah, by any chance.
How did your first car change your life? That's what I've got written in front of me.
That Mini, it was a sense of freedom. And at the time, my home life was not amazing. And the ability to get out and have something that was mine that I had complete control over, and it allowed me to access the 20-mile area before the car would break down, meant that I could escape from the stuff that was difficult. Like, I was having a really difficult time at home, but I could get away, I could go for a drive, I could put the windows down, and I could just disappear from the world for a couple of hours and not have to think about stuff, or at least not have to be actively dealing with it. I could just get a bit of a break. And then obviously it opened up the world to being able to go places and see things and do stuff and not kind of be reliant on someone taking you there. And that was a hugely kind of influential thing for me, was, my car is so much more than just transport. It's so much more beneficial than just, I can get to work now. It was this whole kind of world then opened up, and the automotive community opened up, and it became such a big thing that when this idea for Takona was coming together, it was a really easy connection of, my car, it probably saved my life at some point in terms of things could have got very dark. But because I was able to escape and get away, it made that kind of difference. And if it can do that for me, it can do that for other people. Like, that was that's where it stems from. Like, I've loved cars since I was a very small child. Like, one thing my mum's always said is, when we were on the motorway when you were like 5, you'd be like, Ford, Audi, Mercedes, like just spotting what cars were about. So it was bloody irritating, because we're going along the road and in the back seat, look, a Ford. It's like, yes, we can see it, shut up. Like, but it was always kind of, the passion was for the automotive. And then it was taking that passion and how much it had done for me and going, right, if it works for me, what can we do to make that as easy for other people to engage with? How do we make it more obvious to people that all of this stuff that we do around the car world is good for you? Because a lot of people that don't get cars go, he just likes cars, he likes going fast or driving dangerous, all that sort of stuff. And it's none of that. It's making friends, going out and seeing stuff and doing things.
That's it. We've touched on it before, talking about our first cars and how we got into cars, and there's that kind of community aspect and making friends through cars. I mean, we're best mates, and
the reason we're here is because of cars.
Of cars,
through cars.
And it's one thing we've mentioned quite a lot, but one thing I do actually really like about your content is you actually touch on them points, because a lot of people are into cars. you're into your motorsport, you're into your car shows, and that's what you'll see. You'll see people are just, they've got their thing that they're really into.
Yeah.
They'll post all about it. But what I really like about what you do, you actually delve into, like you said, your car's an escape.
Yeah.
You get in your car, you go out for a drive.
Oh, it's my first thing I do if I'm having a tough time.
Yeah.
I had a really horrible personal incident happen a couple of months ago, and the first thing I did was get in my car, put the windows down, and drive. And like my other half, she'd called me up to give me some really bad news. She's like, "I'll come pick you up, I'll drive you, like I'll come and get you." And I was like, the last thing I need is to be stuck in the passenger seat. What I need right now is control of my car, windows down. Like I need to be able to just cry or scream or shout or whatever. But if I can control something in a situation that I otherwise have no control in,
it's a really strange.
So good.
It's weird that you say that because similarly, dark time. The first thing I've done is my safe place is my car.
The car.
It's my car. It doesn't matter where I am. I'm going to get my car. I'm going to drive somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if it's to park up.
Yeah, and just sit and be quiet.
And just sit. Yeah.
It's your space, isn't it? It's like
it's your own space.
You're out of the rain. You're out of the weather. You're just in your own little cocoon.
You're deadened with sound because you're in this little cocoon.
It's quiet.
And
it's warm.
So I completely get it.
I have to explain to my other half sometimes that when I get home and I just sit in the car for a couple of minutes.
Oh yeah.
You know what?
It's
the amount
like
of people that actually do this.
But it's one of those where it's like it's a transition stage between going from one place to another place. It's like, right, just going to have a couple of minutes. Just get myself ready for moving into this new environment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at home; it's my environment.
Yeah.
So I've just had half an hour on my own, just in my head. I was going to take a couple of minutes to. Right, I'm ready to go into the house.
Depressurize.
That's it, isn't it? You're just decompressing. And then off we go. And it's a really important thing to kind of just be aware of, because I imagine a lot of people do it and they don't realise why. They get home and they go,
never talk about it.
I always sit in the car for.
Well, they never even think about it. They just do it.
Well, that's the thing. That's the first time I've actually heard someone say, literally you're decompressing. I'm like, you know what?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the amount of times, literally almost every day I drive home, I'm never engine off, straight out.
No.
Never, unless I'm in a rush to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm literally pull up at home at the end of the day.
Just have a sec.
Yeah.
Because you know there's somebody on the other side of the door waiting for you.
Yeah.
Like, so right, I'm about to have some energy to put into something.
Yeah,
I've got to either make dinner or catch up or how's it. And it's not because we dislike those things. It's not like I get home and I go, I've got to speak to her again, bloody hell. Because I love my other half to bits. Like, my favourite person in the world.
Is she watching?
She might do. We're getting married this year, so I've got to keep it going. But it's not that I dislike it. It's that I'm gonna have to expend some energy. So I need to just give myself a sec to get ready and go, right, this is the last couple of minutes of not having to be anyone else. Yeah. It's just me. And then when I'm ready, I can cross over that line and go, right, okay.
It's that recharging of social batteries. My missus is always talking about it. It's like my social batteries are running out. I cannot talk to anyone.
Yeah. We just start saying like, oh, you battery low? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll get on then.
You can just tell. The face starts draining. I'm the same. I am exactly the same. I can be very social, but then it gets to a point I'm like, don't want to talk.
I've run out of energy for this now.
My social battery is mostly knackered these days.
Are you like a 10-year-old Nissan Leaf?
So earlier on, our business partner called us, and he'll probably watch this, so I can say on here.
He will watch it.
Rather than having to tell him face to face, he often calls me, or he'll call Aaron, and if Aaron's too busy, he'll call me.
He likes to talk.
Right.
And I can talk.
He apparently said to Aaron, he never answers the phone to me, and it's nothing personal, Matt. I've just got a really low social battery.
You know, there's a half-hour conversation about something, no matter what it is.
I need to prepare myself to talk for half an hour.
Yeah, I had a couple of mates of mine like that, where the phone rings, you go, right, this is going to take half an hour. No matter what is happening, it's going to take half an hour.
My missus, she sometimes gets upset with me because I don't like talking on the phone to people. And to be fair, when you called me the other day and I didn't answer to you, that wasn't because of that. It was because
I thought it was because I was trying to sort something out. I was like, I'm on the road.
It was because I was
voice texting,
stressing over uploading the YouTube video, and I was like, I'll call him back in a bit,
and then didn't.
And then I didn't.
Because I hate calling as well.
Yeah.
So it was a big thing for me to actually try.
Oh really? Oh sorry.
Because I hate being on the phone.
How many times did you try?
Only
once.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like,
I feel really bad now because now I know you've tried.
So for me, a lot of the difficult stuff that I talked about, my Mini was being escaped from. A lot of that, even after I'd like left, it then carried on the phone. So when I was like 17 to, I don't know, 21, I just had a lot of grief whenever there was a phone call involved, because I was of age where there was nobody actually calling me other than this one person. So if my phone rang, it's probably going to be a bit of a difficult time. And it's just that it's carried on through the rest of my life. I just hate picking up the phone because it just takes me back to that place. It's just like,
do you get a bit of a sense of dread when you see the phone ringing?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
One of my best mates rings me almost every day, and I'm like, dude, he's like, I know you hate calling on the phone, but I can't do it. He's like, that's the only way that I can communicate properly. So I'm going to just keep calling.
Well, you say that because I message and you're like, it's easier to call, and I'm like, no, just message.
So yeah, to be fair, it's a weird one, right? Because I kind of sit on both sides of the fence.
You get it.
Yeah, 100% get it, because I still get that dread. I still have that same anxiety.
I think if it's an unexpected call, it's like, oh, if I need to get something sorted.
When I've got customers ringing me.
Yeah.
Especially like we get a lot of customers that do like.
At least with what you do, you can go, oh, sorry, I was on the machine and I couldn't hear the phone.
Which is what.
Well,
and then you wear a smartwatch and they go, I can get you.
They're gonna know now. You can't admit to it.
I've got an analog watch, so I'm uncontactable if my phone is on silent.
So bad. No, actually, technically, this watch, there's a watch symbol up top.
Right.
There. It's because I got another phone. This isn't actually connected to my phone yet.
It's connected to your burner phone, right?
No, it's actually
so
not
when those customers
there's no Bluetooth.
call.
Yeah. No, it genuinely, I get the same. And sometimes it's like, dread, because I'm like, I know you're going to talk for ages.
I think it's that thing. It's that I'm about to spend some energy now.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because you know when you've done it, do you have that sense of like, oh, that wasn't actually that bad?
Oh, yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah. All the time. Genuinely, it's so weird, because I build myself up this dread. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to get this. And then I'm really bad at forgetting. I'll reply in my head. Messages.
I have to leave stuff unread if I can't answer it now. Like if I can't answer it right now, I've got to mark it unread.
Yeah.
If it's marked as read, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. It's disappeared.
I'm so bad for it. Everyone knows that. Friends, family, customers, they all know I'm really bad for it. But then I get this dread because if I've not answered your phone call first time, and then a couple of days later there's a second time I've been busy or whatever, I'm like, right, I need to ring that person back on message.
It's just awkward.
And then it's been like 3 missed calls and it's been a week, and then they call again. I'm like, oh shit.
You've got my car.
Yeah, like, it'd be okay if I rang them first.
You've had it 6
You know what I
minutes.
mean? It'd be okay if I rang. You know, I'd be like, I'm really sorry I missed your calls, blah, blah, blah. And then they ring again. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
It's one of those things. Sorry. I think a lot of people understand life is busy now.
Yeah, that's one thing I do find, that anyone I do speak to, unless you're an arse, and the world revolves around you.
Yeah.
Generally most people are like, it's fine, you're busy, I get it.
9 times out of 10, I'm in the middle of something when I get a phone call. I'm just like, you have to put up with whatever I'm doing right now happening in the background, because I'm working.
Well, you have that a lot. Like, I don't know how your missus can stand the noise. Because Sarah will call me and she's like, call me back, or I'll call you.
Yeah, you know, me and the missus, we've spent a lot of time on the phone, the time we've been together. That's just because it's just easy. You know, she's easy to talk to. We're both very, very similar. So, of course, like in our early days, I mean, you know this, we, rather than messaging each other,
just phone call.
Like back in the old days.
I'm quite old school like that. So, yeah, okay, I can be like that with receiving phone calls. But if I'm wanting to speak to a friend or whatever, I don't like messaging.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't have the energy.
And then if they don't answer, you think the world's ended, and you have no empathy, even though it's the exact opposite when you can't answer. You're like,
whereas, like,
I'm more important than this. What are you doing that you can't answer my phone call?
No, it's one of those where, like, I feel like messaging takes a lot more effort, especially if it's going to be a back and forth.
Where do you stand on voice notes?
I'm turning a page. I've started using them.
I've used them a bit.
I've started.
My best mate is a voice notes guy.
It bugs me. It really annoys me. I don't know why.
Me neither.
I don't know why.
The thing that I found, and this not to be too sad, but the thing that I found recently is hearing someone's voice when you can't see them anymore. It's different. It's weird, but it's like it means a lot. Like it's like having a little bit of them still there because you can hear the voice.
Yeah.
and you can kind of go, I could take solace in that.
Yes, yeah.
And then I go, well, I've got like hundreds of gigabytes of video of me just talking absolute nonsense to the camera, trying to figure out what content I'm making. So if anything ever happens to me, like my family and my friends and that, they've got all
tons.
of these hard drives of me just being a
Yeah.
Like they could deep fake me, no problem, because there's so much video of me.
Yeah.
But for people that don't do this sort of stuff that we do, just those voice notes are like invaluable. Like my sister-in-law will send a 10-minute voice note. I'm like, oh, what's on today's podcast episode? Like my other half's like, oh, I've just got voice notes. So I'm like, right, I'll see you in 20 minutes. Like, good luck. Like, the trouble is, it's hard to respond to a voice note, especially a long one.
That's
because you feel like you have to write a list as you're listening.
That's my issue. Like I've had, I can't remember who it was now. It might have been Regan. In fact, I think you met our mate Regan. He's the one that fitted out.
I did meet him.
So he does voice notes a lot. So to be fair, usually with us two, it's usually stupid and funny. It's back and forth, and it's literally 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. But the annoying thing is, days later, weeks later, whatever, when you're trying to find a specific message, you know when, I'm like, right, okay, he did tell me, he gave me a quote on this, right? Okay, it's there in messages somewhere, and I'm going through it. And I'm like, I swear I read it somewhere. No, I didn't. He sent it in a voice note.
We need to transcribe his voice note.
Yeah, I know, It's so annoying. But that's, to be honest, that's practically what me and P, my missus, did. It wasn't voice notes, it was calls. So rather than messaging, because we were...
Untraceable. You've got no receipts.
Yeah, exactly.
You have an argument, there's no receipts. Well, you said this at 3:30. Like, can't prove it, no receipts.
Did I? But yeah, I'm quite old school in that way, because I'll have friends message me, and I'm really bad for messaging back. Really bad, because I know I'll have X amount of people that I know I need to reply to, whether they're friends, customers, family, whatever. And it's not just across text message. You've got text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, whatever else you use. There's millions of different ways of people contacting.
It's wild. Like, I've been more active in not being on socials as much. So, for example, I now have 2 phones.
And you said he had a burner phone.
This one is just for social media.
So does it both have SIM cards?
No SIM card.
No SIM card. Okay.
If I really need to, I can hotspot.
Okay.
So there's no SIM card in it, but it's got the better camera.
Okay.
So I only use this for socials, and if I don't need to be on socials, it's not in front of me.
Yeah.
And then this has no social media on it. It's only WhatsApp, Waze, music, that sort of stuff. So that
utilities.
When I'm out and about,
yeah,
I'm not, what's going on Instagram? What's going on?
Start doom scrolling.
If I'm trying to get work done, my phone's only going off if someone's trying to get hold of me, like, direct. The flip side of this is we were at the Bicester Scramble yesterday, Sunday even, and I checked my phone at the end of the day and I had like 12 messages. Dude, where are you? Dude, where are you? Dude, I'm trying to find you. I know you're here. Where are you? Where are you?
Right, yeah.
Because a lot of people only know me on Instagram, so they're like, where are you?
Yeah.
Do you want to film some content together while we're both at the Scramble? I'm like, I'd have loved to, but I've only just seen this message. Very sorry, I'm back at home now. And I'm going to go to sleep because my social battery is gone. So there is a flip side to it, but it's about kind of, again, with the mental health stuff, it's trying to be a bit more responsible with it, and kind of knowing my downfalls is that I'm really easily addicted to scrolling. And if I get stuck on a scroll, I get nothing done.
I think,
and then you feel guilty afterwards.
I think
I've just wasted all that time.
To be fair, we've done it. We've both done it. I know I can be bad for it. So I mean, I really like that idea. I mean, I said to you, didn't I? I broke my phone not long ago, so I had to get another. And I said straight away, I was like, right, I'm going to get another phone.
Yeah.
One is going to be purely for essentially work, calls, messages, everything like that. And
well, your business is similar to mine in that a lot of social media is important for the business.
It's a catch-22, isn't it? Because
it's how people find out about what
you kind of need to scroll to get your inspiration for stuff as well. Like a lot of the video real ideas and stuff we come up with.
That's what you're more
purely from other.
For. I've got 10 minutes on the toilet.
Scrolling
time. And then when my legs start falling asleep,
it's just having the willpower to do
That's
that.
normally my replying time.
Is it?
Yeah.
So if you get an early morning reply from you,
usually the case.
It's on the toilet.
It's usually the case. That's my other alone time. The car is a great place, and toilet.
And the toilet.
Toilet is brilliant.
See, I used to get a lot of emails done at the gym in between sets.
Interesting.
Because I was like, right, I need to take a minute between sets, like to let my
quick
body
email.
do it properly.
Yeah.
I'll smash an email out because I'm in a work zone. My brain's in.
You've
we're
got that
doing stuff
adrenaline
mode.
pumping, and
We'll reply to emails. So everyone used to get emails at 8 o'clock at night because I was in the gym. And then I stopped going to the gym and started rock climbing again, and I can't do any of that there.
You can't.
Sorry, I'm just off. But yeah, it's finding like shortcuts to kind of self-improvement has been a real big thing for me. And it's not just because it's January. This has been something that I've been trying to get better at for the last couple of years. Like with that Samsung, it needed a new battery, so I spent 30 quid getting a battery in it. And the battery lasts like 3 times as long as the iPhone because I'm not on social media all the time. But I don't take my phone to bed. I leave it in the other room.
Okay.
And then I read. And reading generally kind of tires your eyes out the same way your phone will. But you've not got a screen, you've not got blue light. You're actually doing something that you're taking something in. Like it's not just isn't that funny? The challenge is I just get an alarm clock because you can go, but I need an alarm, and then you kind of give yourself an easy out. You go, just get a bloody alarm clock, stop being a child about it, and take a bit of responsibility. But it makes a world of difference because then my phone's in the other room, so when I get up, go and have my morning shower, I'm not on my phone.
You're not,
Go and have a shower.
It's so easy to do.
Go and have some breakfast. Try and do something without my phone.
You made the most of your phone time then.
Like my phone. If I'm on my phone for socials, it's because I need to speak to people, post stuff, edit stuff. It's not just doom scrolling and just because after 10 posts, the quality just drops straight off.
Yeah, it does.
The algorithms, there's not enough stuff out there for it to be quality all the time. No. And the thing I've found really helpful is, I've got, 20 minutes while I'm eating my lunch. I'll scroll through, anything good pops up, cool. Nothing good pops up, I'm like, it's proving my point, it's all just rubbish. And every so often a little gem will pop up.
It's true, it is.
And then you don't get the guilt of, I've just wasted an hour for no reason. Just because I kept getting the little dopamine hits, so I just kept scrolling.
I've done it before. In fact, quite recently, to be fair. We were talking about it, and we are going to speak more about it, is just general health. Not just mental health, but your general health. So that's one thing I've always struggled with. Fluctuated with weight. I was, years ago, I was I was obese.
Right.
Lost a lot of weight, did really well, kept it off. And I was saying to you, since starting here, it's been go. With work, social.
It's understandable, obviously.
Yeah, and my diet out of the window, which then has a knock-on effect. On everything. So I've put a lot of weight on this year.
It's been like 6 days. So. It's like the opposite of a fast diet.
No, tell me about it. But for me, then I couldn't quite figure it out. This was a few months ago. Didn't quite feel right. I was just run down. I was saying to you, I just feel run down. Just don't have the energy. I'm not getting up as early in the morning. I'm going to bed later. Routine's out the window. I'm not eating properly. Blah blah blah. And again, I was doing the same thing as what you said. I was getting up in the morning. First thing you do, my alarm will go off early, and then I'm on my phone, and then next thing you know, swipe. Next, an hour's gone.
Because you go, I'll just check my notifications. And then you just get suckered into it.
And it's so easy.
The other thing is you're immediately turning your brain, as your brain is starting up, you're immediately going, here's a really bright light, right in your face. And it's like your brain's not meant for that.
No,
your eyes aren't meant for that.
No, we've got one of those sunset lamps.
Same here, lamps. The Lumi things.
And it just
brilliant on
gradually goes. The thing is,
I've
gotten so conditioned to it now that when it gets to when you have it on sunset, when it gets to red, I'm like, oh geez, I'm really sleepy. I've managed to Pavlov's dog myself into getting sleepy around red light.
It's you know what, they work really well.
It's really good. We have our set to Capital FM for the radio.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
I've got birds tweeting.
Oh, have you?
I like a bit. Genuinely, I wake up and it's like tweet.
I like rain.
I live in the countryside, so I just get that anyway.
Okay, see, I don't.
But the Capital FM thing is funny because every so often you'll get an advert.
Right.
Like the timing of it. So you wake up. Welcome to the Nordic Adventures. You're like, what's going on? It's an advert for Icelandic expeditions or something like that. You're like, it's Capital FM, what's going on?
Available card.
That's not as bad as P's got one. her house.
I'm gonna say, have you got competing ones in the same room?
Yeah. No. She's got one at her parents', and I'm sure she's got goat noises on there.
That is one of the settings.
Yeah,
I know it's one of the settings.
Yeah, and I'm like, because I've heard it before. When bear in mind, I've like called her in the morning, like, because I know she's like she has to go to
feel like
work.
I'm waking up on a farm in Crete.
Yeah. Because she said to me, right, can you make sure I'm up 7:30? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'll be up on the way to work, whatever. I'll call her at 7:30 or 7:29. And it's like, morning, and then you just start hearing, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? What is going on?
I remember setting ours up and going through all the sounds, like goat sound.
See, I never went through the settings on mine.
You got
I just
birds tweeting.
I just
like,
went, but I was like, oh,
done,
that's nice. That's me. That's a bit of me. That.
Do you struggle to sleep then? You know, you said you have it to make you go to sleep.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, it's hit and miss. Like sometimes, like a log, gone, switched off. If my brain latches onto anything as I'm trying to fall asleep, I can be like 2 o'clock in the morning still just lying there.
I'm lucky in the sense that as soon as my head touches the pillow, I'm gone.
As soon as
I find that strange for you.
As soon as I fall asleep, that's it.
Yeah.
Till the morning. No matter, like I've slept through like mini earthquakes and a small tornado and all. Yeah. Like if I'm asleep, I'm asleep.
Yeah.
But it's just that getting there.
I'm the same. Trying to wind down.
Regardless of how hyperactive my brain is, I'm still like.
See, that I find that strange because you.
Which I'm thankful for because I like sleep so much. I hate the idea of not being able to sleep. Like it scares me.
Those nights where. Exactly what you said. Yeah. You're there
I've had it once
2 in the morning
and
you
like,
just can't.
The trouble is, because your phone inherently will tire your eyes out to the point where you will just fall asleep because your eyes are so tired. It's really easy to go, I'll just grab my phone. And then, because I know I can scroll through, like, I don't know, Reddit, like white people Twitter on Reddit is just full of rubbish. Yeah. But it's enough that my brain, I'm just reading like 4 lines of text and then on to the next 4 lines of text. Yeah. And my brain will just turn off because it's so tired. But the sleep is never good. Yeah. It's literally just switch off and then you wake up in the morning and you're just like, oh, I've slept, but I've not.
So you've forced yourself to sleep.
You've just exhausted your brain and your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, for trying to be more disciplined, do I struggle through until I eventually drift off? Or do I fall into the trap of getting my phone again? And then you go, oh, it worked yesterday, so I'll do it again. And then you fall straight back off the wagon again. And it's really tough. Like, one thing I've been trying to do, so my other half is a psychologist, and one of the things she told me about was, if you struggle to fall asleep, try resetting the point at which you start winding down again. So if, like for me, I read, I have the sunset lamp and the classical music. If I've not fallen asleep by the time the lamp's gone off, or like not long after, I turn the lamp back up, I turn the music back on, I try and read again.
I'm sorry.
And just get my brain back into that, it's time to go to sleep.
It's when you're sorry. When you said just then, I'll have my book. I'll have my classical music on. I'm literally picturing you in front of a fireplace.
I've got a big
little monocle.
A monocle, a nice robe on, sitting there with a little pipe in your mouth.
I've got my classical music. It's very Sherlock Holmes, isn't it? I have got a nice big wingback chair in my kitchen.
Oh yeah, a little bit like these.
Well, it's a tall,
a proper one.
It's yellow fabric. It's not a Chesterfield like this. And then I've just bought some new whiskey tumblers for my office, some crystal ones.
Yeah.
So like if I'm
you got the bottle as well with the
no, because I've got like 7 different bottles of whiskey because that's all everybody bought me for my birthday.
I don't realise you're a whiskey drinker.
Yeah, well, last June was my 30th, so over a year ago, and we had a little bit of a party for my 30th, and like 10 people bought me a bottle of whiskey. I was like, I like whiskey. I'm not an alcoholic. And you only really drink this much at a time. So I've got 10 litres of whiskey and I'm drinking 200 ml a week. It's going to take me till I'm like 50.
That's fine.
By which point I'll have had 2 more decade birthdays.
You're a lot more restrained than I am.
But it's like I'll sit there of an evening, if I've got an evening like to myself and I don't have to go to bed early, I'll sit and have a glass of whiskey. I've just set up a new sound system in my office with some proper speakers in it. And I'll just try and just relax and not be doing something. Because I bet you two fall into the same habit of me where it's like, oh, I can just keep working. And then it's 11 o'clock at night.
I usually got that on my lap, just...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're both guilty of it. We'll sit there. You're usually editing videos. I'm usually doing admin and filling spreadsheets.
This makes you sound like Bert and
Or
Ernie with
editing
2
pictures
single
and stuff.
beds.
Yeah, genuinely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
One of you's
with a
got your
little hat
sunset
with a little
lamp
pom-pom on the end.
goats going off in the background.
Yeah, next door I'm in wingback with my pipe on, and you two are sharing a house in separate single beds in the same bedroom.
No, it's so true though, because I've done it time and time again, you know, and it's a weird one for me because I feel for me I can be the most productive at night.
I had this conversation the other day with my other half. She's a morning person, so she'll get up at 7.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, she'll go to the gym if she's got nothing to do. If she's got no plans for the day, she's up at 7. She's in the gym by 8:30. She'll go to the gym. She'll have a sauna. She'll have a steam room, all that sort of stuff. But she'll be up at 7. If I didn't have to think of like life's responsibilities in that way, I'd be up at 10, and then I'd work till midnight, and then I'd get up at 10 the next day. Like if I didn't have to be places in normal working hours, or if I didn't have my other half who's like an adult with a normal job, I would my natural routine is later shifted.
See, that's where I'm a bit different.
Oh, you'd be up early and up late?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, no.
Yeah, I don't sleep much, which is
6
bad.
hours is enough for me.
I'm usually between 5 and 6 hours.
Yeah. If
that's tops.
if I'm in the flow of working life, like if I've got
yeah.
up at 7 to get cracking. If
My
I've got a busy day.
My alarm in the morning is usually going off between 5:30 and 6. Depending on
Really?
how I'm feeling. That's my usual get up time. But usually what I do is I'll wake up, and then the first half an hour is me awake in bed.
Right.
Where even if I'm just lying there, I'm just giving myself that defrosting time.
Got to let the blood flow return
Yes.
to your brain.
Yeah. So that's genuinely that's what I do. My missus calls it defrosting, and that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm defrosting in the morning. If I'm in a rush, I'll get up and get in the shower and spend a bit longer in the shower. But yeah, generally speaking, that's my first half an hour of the day. But yeah, again, I'll get to the night, and normally what happens for me is we'll finish work, go home, I'll have my food, blah, blah, blah. I'll chill out, sit in front of the TV, do whatever I'm doing, take the dogs out for a walk. And then I'm like, okay, relax now for a bit. I'm going to give myself half an hour to an hour, and then I'll get my laptop out and do some work.
Oh, I can't do that. If I stop, I'm done.
That's what I'm guilty of. And then when I get into the swing of things, and I'm like, right.
That's it.
Then I can just keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and I'm like, shit, I need to be up at 6.
Yeah.
And that's my issue.
If I get home and I stop, that's the night is written off.
Yeah.
That's it. No more work is happening. But if I don't stop, I'll just till midnight.
I can be like that at times, but yeah, sometimes I'm like, right now, I need to give myself a bit of a break, and then I can get back at it.
I saw a thing recently that said if you keep your shoes on, it keeps your brain in work mode because it doesn't feel like you've stopped.
I think we spoke about this, didn't we?
Yeah, and like if I get home and I keep my shoes on, I'll keep going until like 8 o'clock, and my past like, you're gonna switch off for a bit. I'm like, oh, I'll take my shoes off, and then my brain's like, okay, relaxing time.
See, I can't do that. I can't enter my house without taking my shoes off.
My office
like,
is
you're doing dog shit.
Yeah, my office is right next to the front door, so I can go straight in.
Fair enough.
And I've got like wood flooring in the office.
Yeah. It's weird. That's like, for me, it's like wearing jeans at home. I bet you wear jeans at home.
I don't. I get home. If I'm in relax mode, shoes off, straight upstairs, joggers on.
Yeah.
Big fleecy like, jacket.
Shorts,
Take the Takona gear off. Nobody's seeing me at home. Big fleecy jacket.
You have Takona like pajamas then or anything?
No, not yet. No. Funnily enough, so one of my t-shirts is the colour is called like natural raw.
Yeah.
And it's because it's like it's not a dyed kind of garment. It's really soft. It's almost flannelette in how soft it is.
Right,
and you can print on it, and the print works fine. But it's really, really cozy. And my other half is like it's like a child's nuzzling blanket. So it's super. And whenever I've got it on, she's like, it just makes me want to go to sleep. So I had a T-shirt printed that just says bedtime tea on it, and it's a little cup of tea. It says bedtime tea underneath. So she wears it as pajamas because she's like, it's so soft and cuddly. I just want to go to sleep in it. So I just made her a t-shirt specifically so she can wear it as a t-shirt for bed, which is why it's bedtime, because we have a cup of tea when we go to bed. So it's bedtime tea.
Cup of tea before you go to bed?
Yeah.
You never got something.
Because if I'm going to bed at night...
Caffeine. You having caffeine in your drink?
Yeah, but caffeine doesn't affect me.
Decaf.
She has decaf tea. Caffeine doesn't affect me.
Doesn't it? It doesn't really affect me, hence why I'm drinking a coffee right now.
It's a thing with ADHD, apparently.
Oh, is it?
Really?
Stimulants have a different effect on you, and they normally calm you down. A lot of people in America will go to parties.
Stop drinking Red Bull in the morning before coming to work.
Makes a difference. It just elevates your heart rate, that's it. A lot of people in America go to parties where they have like Adderall and stuff because it's supposed to like ramp your brain up. It's basically amphetamines. And loads of people have found out they've got ADHD because they'll have it, and all of a sudden the world is quiet for once. And like, oh my God, it's peaceful. What the hell? And that's what your brain's supposed to be like, apparently. But the way ADHD receptors work is they're constantly searching for dopamine. So if you give it amphetamines, it raises the dopamine level high enough that your brain's not searching for it anymore. So it just relaxes. And then you get quiet, which is why a lot of ADHD medication is basically meth and amphetamines and stuff like that, and speed, because it actually makes your brain calm down. So caffeine doesn't have an effect because it's an accelerant. We should probably keep this on a car tangent, shouldn't we, rather than meandering off to talking about alarm clocks.
Yeah, well,
no, we were talking about cars and how poisonous they are.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, your meet this weekend.
Yeah.
This will be out on the Monday, so it'll be out just after that's happened. But
it was great. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, what's the plan going forwards with these meets?
Second Sunday of the month.
Second Sunday of every month.
So the Coffees and Cars network, for those that don't know, is monthly car meets at different locations all at the same time. So I partner with places like GNC to create community spaces. Essentially, it's everybody's welcome. Come and have a coffee, chat some cars, make some friends. Like the whole idea is to kind of lean into that community side of things. So we work with places that are open and have parking, essentially. The first one was in a village car park. My mate had a cafe in the village, and we went, well, the car park's free on a Sunday. Cafe can be open. Let's start it. And that went from 6 cars to 30 cars to 50 cars. And then at its peak, we'd gridlocked the whole village.
Really?
And I was on holiday at the time, so my mate rang me going, what do I do? I was like, I don't know.
I'm not there.
I'm in Spain. What am I supposed to do about it? But the whole point of it is they're regular, they're easy to access, and they're just an opportunity for people to get together.
So it is just a back to basics car
Back to basics, have a cup of coffee, chat cars, make some friends. That's the whole point. It's not about what car you drive, it's not about how much money you've got in the bank, it's about enjoying cars together. So one thing that I get told quite a lot is there's always variety. Like where we started it was when I got my Renault. So I parked my 500 quid Renault 5 and then we had a guy turn up in a Viper GTSR. So you've got my 500 quid Renault and then a Le Mans car replica, like road legal thing. And then everything in between. You get supercars and classic cars and luxury cars and cheap cars. And just, if you're interested in cars and you are an enthusiast, you'll appreciate the cars for being there.
For what they are.
It's not an ego thing. It's not Dick Swinger's Club. It's nothing like that. It's purely, here's a place that you can meet up with people, tell your mates about it, use it as an opportunity to catch up with your friends. Oh, I've not seen you for a few weeks. Let's go to Coffees and Cars and we'll have a catch up. Like, it doesn't need to be more than that. And that's the whole premise. So GNC have said, right, we'll do free parking for Coffees and Cars Day. So if anyone's never been here before and having to pay the £1.50 an hour to park puts people off, there you go, it's free. Turn up, give them your reg number so that they can give you free parking. That's how it works. So if you are seeing this and you want to come to the GNC one, there's an Eventbrite link so that they can get the car regs ahead of time, pre-register on the tickets and save anyone.
Click this.
Yeah. Well, I'll be putting a reel out before then anyway, Friday anyway, so yeah.
So it'll be second Sunday every month here at GNC, and the rest of the network, if you're not local to Derby, is on Takona page. There's a list of where they all are. There's a Google map with all the locations tagged. It's all on that specific page.
So I'm assuming all the other meets then, that because this one is your first one here.
First one here, yeah.
But your other meets you've been doing for how long now?
Probably coming on for 4 years, I think.
Oh, really?
I think it was like July 2021.
So I'm assuming all these. How many other locations do you do these meets?
So it's kind of gone up and down a bit.
Right.
I think we're at either 9 or 10 at the minute.
So there'll be
So they're
10
just self-sufficient.
So the idea is
meets all consecutively happening.
they're at places that are open anyway.
Yeah.
They've got parking and they can provide coffee and hopefully
Yeah,
breakfast as well. The places are open anyway, so if we weren't there, they'd just be
You
open.
could just turn up anyway.
Right,
So
okay.
all we're doing essentially is providing some potential
You're,
extra
you're
locations.
encouraging
You
people
just-
to
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
This place is open. They've
Yeah.
got a car park and they do a coffee.
Yeah.
Go and make some friends.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
everybody gets involved in that idea, then a community will grow around it.
Mm.
And it's what we've seen with like gasoline juice. They talk about it quite a lot, and they say we're doing coffees and cars with Takona, and then people go, "Oh, I've heard of that. I'll go to it." And then that gets popular and it gets busy. The ones that have stopped have always been the ones that don't engage with us. So they seem to expect me to bring 100 people every month to their business, even though A, I'm not there, and B, I've not got that big of an audience. It's not like I'm, I don't know, Shmee, and I go, oh, I'm going here, and then 1,000 people turn up. It's about working together. It's always been about partnership, which is why GNC have been really good at sharing it and talking about it, because people locally follow GNC, whereas they might not follow me, and people that follow me that hadn't heard of GNC might be local. So it's about that kind of marrying up of the two, and the ones that have not been successful have always been the ones where the other side hasn't kind of contributed as much as I do, and we've not been able to leverage their local audience. Because when we started, we were in the local paper because it's about community mental health awareness, and we had, following the local paper talking about it, we had like 40 extra cars turn up the next month because they went,
Really?
I saw it in the local paper. I'm like, great, I'm not local to everywhere, so I can't be the guy that gets in touch with everyone. I'm happy to be the voice of it. If you've got a local paper and they want someone to talk to about it, send them my way. I'll talk about it till the cows come home. But if I don't know about it, then I can't help. And that's always been the challenge, has been, it's a good idea when it works, but it requires everybody to be involved. It's not, I can't carry it on my own.
Oh, no.
You're going to be at this one,
I'll
aren't
be
you?
at this one, yeah.
Going to be in the first one.
We'll be at the first one. I grew up around here, so I've got friends that have like, oh yeah, we'll come along to that, because it's a nice opportunity to catch up. See my mates that I've not seen for a while.
Do you just kind of choose, like, do you just kind of, each one?
I try to if I can, but because we're so busy in show season, there's often a lot on that big events that we're going to, like Jap Fest or the Vista Scramble, where there's a potential big audience that have never heard of me. That's a really good opportunity to get the name out there. So we're not always at one, but if we've got nothing else pulling us away, we'll go to Coffees and Cars. There's one in Northampton, so I'll go down there, or I'll go over to the one that we started in Sawbridge with, because it's an hour and a half away. It's not a million miles, but all my mates are there from when we first started. So I try and go around. Like in February, we're going down to Devon, to the one down there, because they've got a big, it's their 2000th day, which is like 4 years, something like that.
Right.
So like, oh, it happens to fall on that. Hey, do you want to come down and we'll celebrate it together? So we're going down there. And I booked my other half a spa day the day before, so she's happy for the trip away.
Now we'll go stand in a cold car park.
So literally I'm like, well, we'll go down Friday night, straight from work, or we'll take a couple of hours off to head early. Saturday we've got spa treatment, dinner, breakfast, cream tea, like access to the spa and the pool, and then we'll get up first thing and go and stand in the car park.
You've done it the wrong way around. She needs the break afterwards.
Yeah, but Coffees and Cars is on the Sunday.
You have to have the Monday off.
You have to take Monday off.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really cool way of doing it. So do you feel now then, like there is a community?
It's tough for me to be able to say, not because there isn't people involved, but because I dot about so much, it's hard to see the direct reach. If we'd have stayed in Sawbridge, where we used to live, we were there every one, because I lived in the village and I could walk there, and that felt like we'd created this little community around it.
And is that still going?
That's still going on. It's still busy. My friend still runs the cafe. That really did feel like we'd started a community. But because we were there every month, it was really tangibly direct as to what we were achieving. The challenge with growing it to be more than just one place is it's harder to be as central to it, which is good and bad. Like, the good thing is that we've got a much broader reach of potentially helping people to get out of a dark space by being able to go to coffees and cars and make some friends. The flip side is I can't be as directly hands-on as I used to be, so I can't be the guy that you see when you get there, which was how it is when we started, because it was just one. So you turn up and I'm the guy going, oh, there's space over there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to have a tangible kind of reach on what is going on and what isn't. The nice things are like go to the scramble and I don't stop talking all day because you meet so many people and everybody knows who you are and what you do. That's a real nice, oh yeah, I am making a difference, or I'm at least being kind of more well known within the industry.
Yeah.
We won't use influential, thank you very much.
But is there any part of you that feels, have you ever had anyone tell you that Takona has helped?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like either through the coffees and cars or through the podcast or directly. One of the really nice ones was I did an episode of my podcast with Richard Porter and Johnny Smith, who are Smith and Sniff. Richard Porter was a producer for Top Gear and the Grand Tour. Johnny Smith was on Fifth Gear and he does the Late Break Show. Like two really well-known people in the industry, two people that I really look up to and respect, and they do live podcasts. So they'll go and they'll book out. They did one at like Stellantis and they had 400 people there, that kind of thing. I've tried to get them connected here to do one here. And when we did the podcast, at the end, Richard went, oh, I've got something to tell you. They had someone go to their live podcast and they didn't know anyone. And they were feeling really alone and really quite lost. And then they saw someone wearing one of my hoodies and they were like, I know what that means. I know I can go and say hello to them. And they introduced themselves. They said, I'm really sorry to like interrupt, but I'm feeling a bit lost. Do you mind if I hang around with you? I spotted the hoodie and I know what that means. And by the end of the evening, they were like really good mates. Like they've kept in touch and they've stayed friends. And it was all because of a hoodie with the logo on it that made this guy feel like he could approach a stranger in a crowded environment and go, I feel like you're a safe space because you're wearing that brand, and that's what that stands for. Yeah. And that was like a really like on the nose, direct.
That's really nice.
That's the impact.
Give me a little bit of like tingles. That.
Yeah, and it's one of those where it's like, that's exactly what it was for. That was the like. I know they were at a car themed thing, and it was a
but it's still like hard to approach
an automotive enthusiast. But it's really hard to approach a stranger, even if you like the same thing and you know they do because you're in the same room. And that was the whole kind of the reason it's a brand is because the brand can stand for something, and that was an exact direct example of that happening in real life.
That's what you wanted.
That's exactly what it was for, because even in a room full of car enthusiasts, it can be a bit daunting. And just that extra little bit to break down a barrier was just enough to give this guy the confidence to go, do you mind if I hang around with you? I'm feeling a bit stuck or a bit lost or a bit overwhelmed. And then because the person is a good person, that's why they bought a hoodie, they were like, absolutely. Who are you? What do you do? Let's get chatting. So
that's really cool.
There's been a few of these little moments that have come back, like messages going, oh, listen to the podcast, it's really helped me through a tough time. Even though it's just me chatting absolute nonsense with people. It's that...
you feel like you're having a conversation with mates, don't you, with podcasts? That's how we feel.
It's two guys sat in a pub and you just sat listening and chatting away. Like,
in fact, I saw a brilliant meme the other day and it was like how I feel listening to podcasts, and it was like, it was a person, but they were like made into a chair or something like that. So it was like two people sat talking, and then there was a chair, but the chair was a person.
The chair was the person.
It was dead weird. It was really surreal.
It's like being a fly on the wall.
It was like how I feel listening to podcasts.
I can't remember if it was. I can't remember if it was the podcast we came on did with you, or if it was
so many.
I know. Tell me about it.
International celebrities.
No.
Maybe it was with Matt Farrer on the Smoking Tire.
No, I can't remember who I was talking to about it, but it was. Who was I talking to? That's going to bug me now.
How many have you got? How many have you released episodes?
You've got.
Remember, I need to get.
You've got quite a few, haven't you?
Got a fair few. Yeah.
But no, I was saying how. I was just saying how P was like. She'll go to work in an office environment. She'll come back and be like, "Oh yeah, so and so were doing this, so and so were doing that." Whereas with podcasts, because I'm with you all day or I'm by myself.
Yeah.
And all I'm listening to is podcasts. So I'm then going to work saying, oh yeah, so-and-so on this podcast, like they're mates of mine, because I've just constantly listened.
She's like, you don't know these people.
I heard of, I can't remember whose podcast it was, they were saying that someone approached them, like in public,
as though they were
a
friends.
stranger, They're like, oh, hey, dude, how's it going? How's the wife? How's this? How's that? And it's like, I've no idea who you are,
I
but
don't
you know
you.
everything about me. It's like, well, you have a really personal podcast
Yeah, you
that
put it all
you
on.
and your best mate talk to each other about. It's basically we're sat listening to your phone calls.
Yeah, basically.
And there's a bit of a line where you kind of have to go, oh, how much of my personal life do I put into this? Because like, a lot of the stories I share are relevant to the automotive world or to the mental health world or stuff like that. But I'm not going to tell you the specific thing that happened that means I'm going through a tough time right now, because that's a personal thing.
Yeah, of course.
Sharing that story is kind of crossing that line into personal life being publicly known, which isn't where I want to be. There's a real difference between talking to my mates about stuff that's going on and encouraging others to do that and sharing everything on the internet. Like, it's quite a line that you need to be aware of, especially as we are all so much more online these days. Yes, making awareness of stuff and breaking down the barriers around conversation are really important, and we should really encourage more people to feel like they can. And there's a certain amount of leading by example, but it has to be done properly. It doesn't need to be a public forum of a therapy session. Like, there's a real understanding that we need to have of there's personal stuff and there's public stuff. And my personal life is, I'm very quite private about what actually happens in my life and the specific stuff. But I'll happily relay experiences that are relevant. And I'll happily go talk to your mates, talk to people that you care about. And if you don't have those people, talk to a therapist, ring a helpline if it's getting bad. Like, there are things you can do. You don't need to put your life story on Facebook, for example, because you're basically putting it out there into a public forum, which means you are vulnerable to scrutiny and people's perceptions. And as much as we like to think nobody judges us, they do.
Something can become a lot worse as soon as it gets out there.
And you have no control on that genie coming out of the bottle. And then all of a sudden you can find yourself in a place where you're being treated different by people because they go, oh, I didn't know about that about you. And we're not that close, so you haven't told me that in confidence. And it's a really important thing to be aware of.
People start giving you a wide berth then and things like that.
Yeah,
They don't
and then you
get
feel
involved
ostracised, and it just makes things much more difficult. And having that kind of close mates or people that you feel comfortable with, or even just saving it for when it's just in person, is really important, and it's a really valuable thing to do for your own well-being. You don't need to spread it everywhere, because 9 times out of 10 the people reading it aren't going to care as much. And because it's online, it hasn't got the impact of a conversation with mates face to face or anything like that. And there's certain things about, like, let's say like cancer awareness, for example. If somebody has sadly passed away through cancer, talking about that's important, and making more people aware of it is important. But there's a point where you go, we don't need to go into the nitty-gritty details of how that affected people on a really direct, specific level. It can be
a broad
grief and loss and trauma and all of that. It doesn't have to be, well, I felt like this for several days and this is what I did. It becomes a bit too much, and it makes life difficult for the people.
Then also people can have had a similar experience. They go, well, I felt worse than that for even longer, and then they start comparing.
Therefore, mine was more difficult.
Or vice versa. It's, I shouldn't feel as bad as I feel bad. But they've been through way worse. than me. You then start comparing yourself, and
really
then feel
dangerous thing.
Dig yourself a deeper hole. It's not.
I've been in those situations. You go, well, I've only got this to deal with. They've got it worse than me, and it's like, well, it's relative. It's all relative to your perception. Like, this is the worst thing.
Short term, looking at it like that can help, but then.
Like to try and just get through the end of the day. I've gotten over the
I've done that before.
But the point where you're going, oh, I shouldn't feel sad because they've got something worse happening is really dangerous, because it's all about your perspective. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Your only perspective of how bad things are is this is the worst thing. So you're going to treat it like the worst thing just because their worst thing is worse than yours in a relative perspective. Is kind of a moot point, because right now this feels like the worst thing you've ever felt.
So nothing else matters.
And that's how you treat it. Like, this is the worst thing I've ever felt. This is my upper limit right now. And it might get worse. Something worse might happen in the future. And you go, oh, well, I dealt with that. I managed it over that. And that was the worst thing that happened. So I've been through a bad thing before. And this is kind of what to expect. Like, I've been through trauma in my youth, and I went through trauma recently. I was like, I've got a bit of an understanding of how I deal with trauma. So I know kind of what to expect. It's not how I thought it would go. I've learned a lesson on how this specific thing affects me. but I was at least kind of almost in a place where I could go, right, I've got to deal with something really horrible. This is how I dealt with it last time, or this is how it affected me last time, not how I dealt with it, because you kind of learn
And I
as you
know
go
that
on.
feeling will pass.
But I know that I'm going to lock myself in my room for a couple of days, play Xbox, eat chicken nuggets, just give my body the time to decompress and to kind of wash through with everything that's going on. And then in a couple of days, I might be able to kind of pick up the phone again or talk to someone a bit. Because I've been through crap before, I know the initial thing is going to be my body goes into fight or flight, and then this is going to happen, and then this is probably the route that we're taking. And even though it's not a specific like roadmap, you at least go
Quite
right.
similar.
I'm ready. Like I've got to deal with this, but we've made it through shit before. We just keep going through shit again. And there's the kind of things I didn't need to tell you the thing that's happened to be able to go, crap's happened, and this is how we kind of we soldier on, or we figure out. Or the important thing is to let the emotions go through you. Like that, tough it up and block it out.
It's a load of shit.
Your body will force you into it at some point.
Well, even if it's later down the line, it'll still come back.
You make time for rest, or your body makes you rest, and then you have no control of how that goes.
And it's one of those, and I'm glad that people like you are around to do this, make people aware, because not enough people talk about it. And we've had these conversations with each other, and we know what we've been through over the years. We're best mates. We talk about it, but a lot of people don't know that, and the attitude, especially with older generations. This isn't everyone, but it is the case. The older generation, they were never really.
A lot of it stems from wartime.
It's
like the world has gone to absolute dogs. You just need to soldier on. And then when the wars kind of stopped and it was just post-war, which is we're kind of coming through the generations now, so it's getting further and further away. But it was you got to dig in and tough it out mentality just to get to the next day. Well, that doesn't work in non-war times. It doesn't work when you're just dealing with day-to-day
we've got time
life.
to think.
It's like, oh, my job's really stressful. Is anyone shooting at you? No. Well, you can give yourself a bit of space to try and figure out what's going on. You don't need to just bury it and move on to the next day. You can let that have. Because back then, PTSD would kill people because they weren't aware of what was going on. Oh, John's screaming in terror again last night. And it's like, what does this mean? You're he's having flashbacks to being shot at in a trench. That's what's going on.
We've all seen Peaky Blinders.
It's horrendous.
And
it's tough because it's inherently not an interesting thing to listen to. Like, unless you're specifically going through something right now, me telling you that you need to let the emotions wash over you and you need to figure this out, you need to talk to someone, unless it's relevant to your situation, it's not that interesting to hear.
No.
It's not like I'm telling you the recipe for a really good cooking or anything like that, or I'm telling you the specs
there's
of
no
a new
simple
car.
fix.
No, and there's a lot of, unless it's affecting you personally, there's not that much sympathy because it's just part of life. And you go, okay, well, if it does get tough, I know where to go. The flip side of that is the stuff that we do around cars that is good for you in all these ways is fun stuff. I know talking about mental health can be a bit boring because it's quite a serious thing. However, talking about cars can be really good fun.
Just taking your mind off things.
And just doing stuff with cars is really good for you. And if that is the thing that helps with your mental health, listen to that stuff.
It could be an escape. It's either you talk to someone or it's an escapism.
If you can't do therapy every day, go for a drive every other day, and then go and see a therapist once a month or once a week, or whatever can fit into your lifestyle. But find ways that help you feel better, or at least distracted for a bit. Just don't ignore the stuff that causes the difficulty, but find stuff that helps make life a bit easier. Like we said, go for a drive. Go and sit in the car. And let the rain hit the roof and just be present in that moment.
Just whatever makes you feel comfortable in that moment to take you away. No, 100%. I agree with that. And to be honest, that was one thing, again, back in the day, when I was going to a lot of car shows, when we were meeting and, going to meets, this, that, whatever. A lot of it, I know for me, and I didn't know it at the time, it was an escape. It was an escape for me feeling a bit shitty, whether it's lonely, whether it's this or that. It was getting out, doing something, even if it was going outside to mess around in my car. And I did that a lot. I spent a lot of money.
They'd always
on
be on a
cars.
Sunday as well, when the time when you were feeling at your worst as well.
yeah,
Well,
that's the
100%.
thing. Normally we do a meet with Triumph between Christmas and New Year's.
Right, okay.
Because of the timing of everything, everyone was working until Boxing Day, and like everything was it didn't work. So normally we do one in that gap, because it's like, if you've not got a happy Christmas time, you need something to drag you out of the house, and that's what the car meets are really good for. And as much as people don't want to get up early on a Sunday sometimes, if you know that your mates are going to be there and there's going to be something interesting to look at and talk about,
it's different.
You'll get up for it. If you're looking forward to it, you'll make the effort, and you'll get up. And even like going through a really tough time, just that little glimmer of something interesting can just be enough to go, oh, I'll find the energy for that, because it's worthwhile. I enjoy it. I can make some friends, or I can get to know someone new, or I can see something interesting. You might see an F40 for the first time at a car event. Like, if you'd gone to the Scramble, you'd have seen a Carrera GT. Like, you never know what's going to be there at some of this sort of stuff, and it's just those little like pockets of light here and there that can really help in a difficult time. And even if you're not going through a difficult time, it's fun stuff, it's cool stuff, it's interesting, and it's what helps you maintain kind of being in a good space. Is, oh, my life is fulfilling and I'm doing stuff that brings me joy, rather than just going, oh, I'm doing fine, and then like getting sideswiped as soon as the first thing that can knock you off your toes comes along. I don't have any of the skills to cope with bad times, because I've not had enough bad times.
Meet any of the people that have been on your podcast at the Scramble?
Yes, a few people I've met thanks to the Scramble. One being Neil Clifford, CEO of Kurt Geiger.
Oh yeah.
Who I met because of JK at the Scramble, which is always fun.
I was going to say, who's the most interesting person you've had on?
Oh,
would it be him or?
I don't think it'd be him. He's the highest profile, maybe, because everybody's heard of Kurt Geiger, because it's a big.
You reckon he's
brand.
higher profile than the producers of Top Gear?
Richard Porter's pretty high profile.
Yeah.
But it's not like I had Jeremy on.
Yeah, true.
So you have to know Top Gear to know who Richard Porter
Yeah.
was. If I'd have had like Jeremy or James or Richard, then you go, oh, that's a name.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not necessarily the biggest names that are the most interesting people. So like I had Ralph Hosier on.
I was about to say, I have the guys from ATD on.
No, those idiots. Just want to talk about polishing, jeez.
There's one of his.
No, but so Ralph like builds interesting stuff.
Yeah.
My mate John, who we met thanks to Coffees and Cars. So we did one with Paddle Up until they closed down, and he lives down that way. And we met at a Coffees and Cars thanks to a mutual friend, and now we're really good mates. Like, we talk to each other every day. I went to record a podcast with him because he builds cars. Like, he builds camper vans from bare shell all the way up to fully finished. He's got a vintage Corvette race car. He's got a 356 Outlaw that he built himself. Like, just does cool shit. And that's fun. Like, so it's not necessarily that he's really, really well known, but he does fun stuff, and I find it interesting. And it's stuff. It's really difficult to go, oh, this was the most interesting, because I find so many different things interesting that it's not really a scale in that way. It's just I'm very fortunate to have some of the conversations that I have because I do the podcast. So I'm very lucky that people will sit down and chat to me, because 9 times out of 10 someone's not going to sit and talk to you for an hour without a good reason. And a podcast is a really good reason for me to go,
it's good that these
what
people
do you do?
like say, I'll come on, like, you know.
Yeah, I think because
they're not getting paid for it.
No. Because of what it stands for and the idea behind it, it's quite a good door opener, because it's about trying to just encourage people to talk.
Well, to be fair, when we first met, I didn't really have much of a conversation with you. I think I had a customer come by.
You did,
Yeah,
you had to pop out.
Me and Gaz stood and chatted for a bit.
And then
I'm from near where you used to live, and it was like, oh, do we have any common friends?
Yeah. And then it was only, I think it was after you left, or maybe you were still there, and then you mentioned, oh, he does a podcast, and his whole thing is all about mental health and this, that. And I'm like, that's really fucking cool. And then, like, we started talking about it, didn't we? And then, because we then kind of veered off on about mental health and whatever else, we were like, we should ask him if we could just do his podcast. That'd be really cool to talk to him. That's why we did it. And it was purely because of what Takona is,
what it stands for.
you know what I mean? And it was It was not because we liked you. No, that was just.
Yeah, unfortunately, Takona comes with me at the helm, so if you want to deal with that, you have to have me as well. I'm not big enough to be able to pawn it off to someone else. But yeah, it's fun, kind of finding out who will sit and chat.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have said yes, and we've just not figured out a time, or they've been so busy, or their PA's PA hasn't got back, or whatever it is. Like a couple of people from like the telly and stuff like that. It's just they're so busy.
Yeah.
So are you reaching out to these people then?
Yeah,
or
like
they...
normally I'll meet them face to face and I'll ask them in person because I feel like that carries a lot more weight.
Yeah, 100%.
To me, just emailing and go,
Yeah,
just come and sit and chat with me.
Yeah.
And because I am quite kind of confident, I'll just walk up to anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just go up and say, I know who you are. Obviously, will you sit and chat with me for an hour? This is what I do. And a lot of people are really receptive to it. Like I've asked Richard Hammond and Chris Harris and like people that people will have known.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. And
we were talking about Chris Harris the other day, weren't we?
Yeah.
You were saying how he's just too busy. Or
he's so busy. Like I know people that know him on a personal level, and they're like, we can never pin him down for 5 minutes. Like it's impossible. And they're always happy to explore it. It's just finding the time is almost impossible. Because I lead in with I run a podcast for mental health in the automotive community. Like it's not, I do this thing, aren't I great? It's about what it stands for. It's not about, I want to sit and chat to this famous person. Because,
because I want my name to get bigger,
like
whatever.
I'm quite fortunate in that I don't get kind of celebrity shocked or whatever it's called.
Starstruck.
Yeah, starstruck, there we go. Celebrity shock.
Celebrity.
I was wondering what you were saying.
I was trying to think of another name for it.
My brain was really working around the houses then.
You didn't me.
I don't get famous people frightened. Yeah, you don't get starstruck.
We've spoke about this because I'm a bit like that. Because like to me, humans are human.
Oh, I get massively starstruck.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You could be like, they could be like literally like half a mile away. You're like, that's so and so.
Yeah.
I've seen them on BBC Three.
Oh, the other day we were walking around Nottingham the other day at the Christmas market, and there's this artist called Window Kid. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "There's Window Kid," and because he lives in Nottingham, but like,
this was when we went, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, we saw Brucey one night in Rock City.
Yeah, did you know Brucey?
No, they're all like drum and bass MCs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but I mean they've been in the charts. Like they're in like the
you get.
But I get starstruck.
No, I don't get it at all. Like everybody's a person.
Yeah,
like,
that's how
everybody might need to poo in a poo bag on a walk in Nottingham at some point. Like, that could happen to anyone. Yeah,
there might be like a select few people that I'm a big fan of.
I think it's normally a respect thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I appreciate how much work it takes to do that stuff.
Something like that, then I can be a little bit more like, I admire you. Like, yeah.
But they're still a person.
Yeah,
So
100%.
take like Neil Clifford, for example. He was at the Scramble. He's the boss of Kurt Geiger. I didn't know who he was until I met him. Like, I met him and we were chatting, and he was in his Singer. He's like, I've just left something in the car. So he opened the door and went, I've not had a look at one of these properly. Do you mind if I poke my head in? He was like, have a sit. And he was just really friendly. And the Singer was covered in like road grime because he used it all the time. So that started the conversation with him. It was purely about his car. It wasn't, I know who you are and what you do. It was, you've got a cool car that I admire. So then I was like, you've got a Singer. You're clearly doing all right at whatever it is you do. What is it you do? He's like, I'm in fashion. I was like, I'm trying to get somehow into that world. It'd be great to like pick your brain at some point because clearly you're doing all right at it. And then he was like, just send me an email, and then told me his email address at kurtgeiger.com. I was like, oh, you're that into fashion. He's like, I'm basically the boss.
Wasn't it CEO
it's at
Kurt Geiger?
The boss.
The boss,
kurtgeiger.com. I was like, oh, you're that into fashion. He's like, I run Kurt Geiger. I was like, that's hella cool.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't then that I asked him. I was purely just, it'd be great to pick your brains. He was like, let's meet up for a coffee. He was just very kind.
Yeah.
I bumped into another Scramble, and I had my jacket on, and because my logo was hidden by the jacket because I didn't have this very smart sweatshirt that the logo is in the middle.
Is this why this was designed?
This is why this sweatshirt was designed, because I didn't want a hood. I wanted the logo in the middle. I bumped into him. I said, oh, Neil. He's like, yes. I was like, oh, I run this, and pulled my jacket to the side so I could see the logo. He's like, oh, mate, big hug, saying hello and all that. And that's when I asked him to come on the podcast, and he was just very friendly about it.
Yeah.
But it was, again, because we were in the car world, it was all about the cars.
Yeah.
And when we recorded, I went down to the Kurt Geiger HQ in London, which I felt very out of place of. So I was dressed
I
like,
can imagine.
I was dressed in like jeans and trainers and a backpack on with all my gear in it. And I turned up, I was like, hi, I'm here for a meeting. And the girl at reception is like, who with? And I'm like, the boss? And she's like, what? Like, why are you here to see him? She's always in a meeting at the minute, take a seat. And then afterwards we went to the Savile Row Concourse and he was introducing me to his friends and we were chatting cars. And we were stood with this guy and one of Neil's friends, and we were stood in front of a Koenigsegg, and it was either the Agera or the Regera, and he had the other one. He's like, oh, I've got the other one. If it was an Agera, he's like, I've got the Regera. He went, I flew my plane to Sweden, to Koenigsegg HQ, landed it on their runway, himself, like he flies, and spent the day with Christian specking my car. And I'm like, jeez, what the hell?
How have I mixed with these people?
And then there was a vintage Rolls Royce, not that vintage.
Yeah.
Like a early 50s one.
Yeah.
Worth like 35 grand. Like not a super special thing, but just really nice. Something like that. And that guy, Neil, and their other friend, who it turns out owns like Selfridges, I was like, what? They were all way more excited about this relatively cheap car compared to the Koenigsegg. They were way more excited about that than they were about the Koenigsegg. The guy's like, I've got the Koenigsegg, it's cool, it's awesome, but this is really, it's like the leather is this, and the wood is this, and the spec is this. And I just had so much more respect for them because I was like, yeah, they're really wealthy people and they're doing really well.
But it's not
they're just car nerds.
Yeah.
They're all just little car nerds.
It's about the car that they saw when they were a kid, and that was the car.
Like my little Renault 5 is perfect for that because everybody's got a story. Everybody, like, my mum had one of them. Like, no matter who you are, you've got a connection to a Renault 5.
This is the car from Ali G.
Yeah, like everybody's got a thing with a Renault 5. So I had Ian Callum on the podcast, the man who designed the Vanquish, the CX-75, like proper highly respected car designer, right? Someone that I was always like, that's what I wanted to do when I grow up.
Is he the guy that was on Top Gear? He was. I was watching early episodes of Top Gear a few weeks ago, and
Scottish guy.
Yeah, he designed the
he designed the XK,
the F-Type,
and the F-Type.
Yeah, because this was in. It was like 2002. I was showing you a clip. And him and another designer, the guy from Aston Martin, maybe
Fisker.
Yeah, I think it was him. They were like having a draw off, like two boards, like back to back.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Clarkson was like doing his own, and then they basically turned the boards around and showed him to the camera. And what's his name, Ian Callum.
Yeah.
I was like, that looks like the F-Type.
Yeah,
and then I googled who designed the F-Type, and it was him. And I was like, he had that in his head for a lot of years before it came out.
That's nuts.
I had him on the podcast, right?
That's epic.
And I took the Renault. I texted a friend of mine who's a car journalist. I was like, is it a bit too brave to take the Renault? He's like, might it break down? I was like, it could. He's like, and you're going to see Ian Callum? I was like, yeah, at his design studios. He's like, take a sensible car. I was like, no, I'm taking the Renault. I'm gonna be brave. And I got there and he was like, is that Renault 5? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh my, I love these. And he's like, let's go and have a look at your Renault. And we just mooched over my 500 quid Renault 5 next to his 635 CSL that he just bought. And just connected over the simple joy of cars. Yeah. And that's the thing that's the thing for me is it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a car person, you'll just get excited about an interesting car.
Yeah.
Like we go to Festival in Exceptional because it's just full of the stuff that you don't see anymore.
Yeah.
And you go, that's an original Skoda Rapid.
Yeah.
And most people go, that's just an old car.
It's an old Skoda.
It's an old Skoda Rapid. It's from Czechoslovakia, a country that doesn't exist properly anymore.
We had this. There's a Sirocco somewhere around here, Mark 1 Sirocco.
There's an early Prelude down there as well.
Belongs to a GNC, and we detailed it. And the first thing, we were looking around it, opened the bonnet. Made in West Berlin, and I was like,
"Oh, yeah,
that's mad."
It was West Germany.
Not West Berlin, West Germany. Yeah, I was like, "That's mad that's a place that it still exists, but
it used to be a separate country."
Yeah. And I was like, "That tells a."
I have a camera lens that has "Made in the USSR" on it.
Really?
And the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore.
What is it? A camera?
It's a camera lens.
Camera lens. I've got a 16.
We're playing charades now.
Yeah.
Film.
I've got one of them, and that says it was 1969, made in USSR.
I saw a video yesterday of it was a farmer. It was like a TikToky kind of video, and the guy's like, "When was the last time you changed these tyres? They tread on them. You're supposed to change tractor tyres every 10 years." And then it cuts to a bit. It says "Made in the USSR." And it's like, been a while.
So at least before 88.
Yeah,
When things were built properly.
yeah, built to last.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Yeah, I don't have a most interesting guest, unfortunately. I can't give you a nice snippet for you.
Is there anyone that you really want?
It's tough because like the obvious choices are the Top Gear guys because I grew up watching Top Gear.
Yeah.
But I feel like all the stories will be the same stories.
Which of the
everybody told.
three would you prefer to interview?
I feel like Jeremy, just because
Yeah.
he's so controversial.
Yeah.
I'll find it interesting to see.
I think he is the
stuff
most
comes
interesting
up.
person out of all of them as well, though.
Like, I think James would be fun on a nerdy level.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
you
but
could get some really
Clarkson's
mundane.
still really nerdy.
Yeah, but I think
Clarkson
James would go
is.
into mundane, boring, nerdy
Maybe,
stuff.
yeah.
See, I feel like on an emotional level, it'll be Richard Hammond.
He's got some like Jesus that
Yeah.
you should be dead. Stuff.
Yeah.
that-
Like, I
that's-
listened to something the other day. You've probably seen it when
Is
he
it the
talks
drive
about
type thing when he's on that wall
on the hill.
Yeah,
And he was talking about the tree.
yeah.
It's where he goes for walks, and he was on about the crash he had in that. What was the electric car?
No, it was the.
Was it electric car?
It was the
The drag car.
drag car that
Was it the drag
put
car?
him in a coma.
Yeah. And he was talking about that, yeah, when he was in the coma.
Was it something to do with he remembered seeing it, like in his?
It was
Well,
something
whilst
to
he
do
was
with.
asleep or
I remember
something,
off
like
the
in
top
his
of- but
dream.
It was something to do with his. He could
Was it-
pretty much see the tree,
Yeah.
and he had to go there. He knew he had to go to that tree, and then I think it was something like his missus. He was in a coma. The doctors basically said, "Look,
That's
it
it.
is what it is."
Yeah.
And then I think his missus asked the doctors, "Can I shout at him or something?" And then she just came in and just went blitz at him.
Yeah.
And then he just remembers hearing her voice while he's approaching this tree, and then hearing a voice saying it's not time or something. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm butchering it completely, but it was along those
Yeah,
lines, and I
but
was
you,
like, oh,
you
shit.
know that if you got to talk to him personally about
Yeah.
it,
Oh, yeah. I think on a personal level, I think I'd like to speak to Richard Hammond because I do really like Richard Hammond as well. I think Jeremy would be the funniest conversation, but then again, Richard Hammond is hilarious.
yeah.
He's really
This is what I mean.
funny.
This is why they were such good TV presenters.
Yeah.
That's why that show was so successful.
Oh, it
it
was so
wasn't
good.
because of the cars.
No, it wasn't. It was three
Because Fifth Gear
personalities,
had
three
amazing
mates.
cars on it, but it was
Yeah,
never
yeah.
the chemistry was never as good as Top
Yeah,
Gear's
yeah.
chemistry.
I mean, when people used to moan about Top Gear, it's always scripted and this and that, it's like, who cares? It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. Yeah,
It's
it's an
literally.
entertainment show.
I'm not watching it for the cars anymore.
They were
I'm
doing
not
what I do.
bothered.
We use cars as the catalyst to get it started.
Yeah.
And everybody
Yeah.
actually enjoys the stuff outside
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
cars.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's what you come back for
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
people and the
Yeah,
emotions
yeah,
and the
yeah.
stories. Like, did you watch the last Grand Tour when they went
Yes.
back to the
Yes.
desert?
I'm not gonna lie.
And that last bit, I was just like, oh man, I really wasn't expecting that.
onions.
Yeah.
what was the car that Clarkson had?
The Maserati.
Maserati,
No,
wasn't
it was. I thought
Was
it
it
was a Lance.
Oh no, it was a Lancia.
Lancia,
It was a
sorry.
Lancia.
Yeah,
He had a
Lancia.
Lancia Beta.
Yeah,
took,
James May had the 190.
Yeah. Well, it was a
190.
No, he didn't. He
E-Class,
had what
wasn't it?
you've got, the one W123.
Was it W123?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
was bigger than a 190.
Yeah, it was. I can't. Yeah, it was.
It's all that.
Yeah,
Well,
it
they're
was
the,
that-
both,
it was
they're the
that
two
one
cars they had
bit.
in the Botswana.
Yeah, it was.
Special.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that
because
they went back and they found
they
them.
found the cars, didn't they? And that was the bit where Jeremy said, "I've literally carried the piece around." And what was it? Was it a headlights around or something?
Something like it was a weird thing to
It was
have.
something
wasn't
really
it? It's like,
random. He
imagine that
goes-
must have been a nightmare at every passport
I know,
security.
yeah, literally in his bag and he says he carried it with him every single special trip
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
He took it with him in his bag, and he's like, "You
It's
found your
like
home
he's
again."
lucky.
And,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
It was like properly emotional.
It
I was like, oh,
I know,
It's like,
I know.
that's so many years of people's
Yeah.
life,
It is.
Oh, yeah,
like
it really is.
encapsulated in those two videos.
And the thing is, it not just car
kids-
enthusiasts.
Kids have
No.
been born and
You know, I speak to my missus is not a car enthusiast, far from it. Like she's kind of into her cars now because of
Because
me.
yeah, my other half's
Yeah.
the same, like because
And-
of me.
Yeah. And
Dragged
they'll
her
follow
into it.
along because they're there
Kicking
to
and
support
screaming.
you. But like,
I'm not getting involved in whatever you're interested in, so you're going to have to come this way. The line is now on my side. Thank you very much.
but yeah, she again, no interest in cars, but again, she was like, yeah, we used to watch Top Gear. I was sitting with her and her dad. a few weeks ago. We were talking about Top Gear. We were just sat in front of the TV, and he was like, "Oh yeah." We were talking about the different specials, and I'm like, "You two are not into cars at all."
Yeah.
But you're talking about Top Gear because everyone at 8 o'clock on a Sunday used to sit down and watch it.
Watch Top Gear because it's entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's
it
the
was
thing.
brilliant.
Like those three they'd be great to sit and chat to. My kind of thing about it is, are we just going to get the same stories? Like this is the conversation I had with Chris Harris because he was like, I've told so many stories on so many podcasts. But the thing with my podcast is it's not
yours is a bit different.
About oh my god, you're so and so. It's more about you're just a dude. You do cars. Let's chat about it. Like it's so much more casual and it's unscripted. There's no questions. Like it's not prepared in any way, intentionally to be more organic in the way the conversation flows. Yeah. And that inherently brings out stories that people aren't expecting to share. And you go down different tangents. Like you can start off, I work in the TV industry and I drive cars, blah, blah, blah. And then something could spark just a little tangent. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're off down this path. Yeah. And then an hour later you're like, I wasn't expecting to be here. Yeah. And we've talked about life and the universe and experience. Yeah. And that's the fun bit about it, is that I have no idea where it's going when we start. And we figure it out along the way and we see, we're down this route, are we? Maybe we should steer it back towards cars a little bit because we've gone off tangent.
Like you did
earlier. Have you had any? I'm not expecting you to name any names because that'd be awkward. Have you had any awkward moments where you've not had anything to talk about, or you've just had to carry the conversation?
A couple that I've had to carry.
Yeah.
Like I've had to really work at dragging questions.
Were they the people that when you first approached them,
I've not really known them properly in any sense. Like if I've not had any real interactions with them.
But were they like, when you asked them, were they a bit like, what's that? A podcast? What?
Not really, no.
So they were all up for it, and then they came on, and then
I think it was a bit of a. They weren't really sure what to expect.
They became a bit of a rabbit in a headlights.
They were expecting an interview.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not that.
Yeah.
And if I don't really know them, or if I've only met them briefly, it's quite hard for me to go, we're pals. I can feel comfortable just dragging things out of you. Yeah. That's kind of I had these two detailers on, and they were a pain in the ass.
they can be detailers. Known for having zero personality.
I'm just checking how long's left on the camera.
Yeah, that's fine. Your Sony might have stopped, to be fair, because I don't know if they do more than half an hour in a chunk.
We've got 9 minutes.
That's all right.
Well, okay then, right.
I put my phone on for 5 minutes, saying it's got 5 minutes left. So
we'll start signing off. So, where do you see yourself or Takona?
Yeah.
In where do you want it to be in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? What kind of image do you have for it?
I'd like it to be, firstly, enough to sustain me, so that I can do it full time. I feel like my impact in what it does will be so much better if it's the only thing I have to think about, or at least the only thing that I have to work at, day to day. At the minute, I do a couple of days a week for other people, and that pays the bills, and Takona is very much still a passion project. If it can get to the point where it can sustain me, then I can have the confidence that it might sustain other people, and then we can start exploring bigger ideas like a location or a venue, and ways to kind of make even more kind of community outreach. So kind of the 5-year plan is to be doing it full time, which was my 5-year plan 5 years ago, so we've missed that one. But that's the goal, is to become a thing, like an actual proper established brand that exists and people know about it. It's not going to take a bad month to wipe it out, is the goal.
To be fair, I think you're actually putting it down at the minute. I believe that Takona itself is becoming a household name.
I had someone say that the people in the industry know it.
Yeah.
That's the point we're at. Is if you're in the car world, in the industry, not the general car enthusiast.
Just the fact that we've had a few customers say,
Paul,
Lewis.
shout out Paul.
Yeah,
Paul Bray. He straight as soon as he saw we were talking to you,
he messaged me
straight away.
They detailed my car.
You know what? I was going to mention him earlier because I know he's mentioned to me. It's beautiful. And the thing is, he's mentioned to me a couple of times about how he's had a couple of mental health.
The T-shirt design.
Oh really?
Yeah, I did midnight drives, good vibes and midnight drives with a Lamborghini Countach.
Yeah.
And he messaged me like, "You got anything BMW related?" I was like, "I was thinking of doing a 3-litre CSL Batmobile."
Yeah.
And a similar vibe.
Yeah.
He's like, "If you do one, I'll buy it." So I did one, and he bought it like
Oh,
straight
straight
away. I was
away.
like,
Good
I
man.
made it especially for you. Like, it's something that I
man.
wanted to do,
Yeah.
but I put it at the top of the list
Did
because
it
you asked
did
me
it
for
sell well anyway?
I don't think I've actually released it properly.
Oh, okay.
I've sent one
So
to
he's got an
he's got a
exclusive
first
T-shirt.
He's got like one of 3, I think it is.
Okay.
I've got one to send to Johnny Smith because he said he liked it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sending him one because every so often he chucks the T-shirt on just in one of his videos.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a singing and dance of it. That's not
Yeah.
the way that we work
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Is he goes, I really like this thing, and I go, well, you've got an audience. I'll give you one for free. If it makes its way into a video, it makes its way into a video. If not, someone I look up to has got one of my T-shirts, and that's quite cool.
Yeah, that is cool to be fair.
And we were at a car event, and it was really windy. He's like, "Oh, I'm freezing." I was like, "I've got a beanie hat if you want a beanie hat." He's like, "I can't find mine anyway." I was like, "Yeah, I'll just have this one." And this was like 2.5 years ago. He shared a story today that he's got this beanie hat on. And every time he shares something, I get like 10 messages. Johnny's wearing your hat. I'm like, I know, I see it as well. Like, how cool is that?
That's cool.
But yeah, Paul has influenced the T-shirt being into existence ahead of any.
cool.
Not that I have any plans, but I was like, it's an idea that I'd been milling around, and he was like,
He kind of
if you do
made
this,
you do it.
I'll have one. I was
hopefully
like,
he
well,
gets to the end of the podcast.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
And
just do this little snippet and send it straight.
Yeah,
to him.
yeah. To be honest,
just
that'd
for
be
you,
good,
like.
just for him, yeah.
So where can people find your stuff to buy?
So Takona.co.uk is the website. It's also where you'll find Coffees and Cars. You can find the podcast on there, but it's also on Apple, Spotify, all of the platforms, wherever.
As will this be.
And then your new
as of
Instagram page that you've just started,
So I've just started.
which I really like. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a huge fan.
So I recorded the second episode on the way up here on Saturday.
Okay.
So it's called Let's Talk About It, and the idea is talking about topics from within the car world, mental health world, talking with people, having guests, that sort of thing. It's a really simple idea. It's a 360 camera in the car, so it gets what's going on outside and inside at the same time, and then just miking up, so that it just syncs up. I'm trying to keep it simple. Basically, I've befriended the guys at Waymo and their Spotcast thing. They're local to me, and we've become really good friends really quick. A bit like what you two just immediately kind of befriended each other. And we were laughing that Richard Porter called him a dick for having such a good idea. It's like, it's so simple and it works so well. I'm so annoyed that you thought of it and I didn't. Like, I said that to him, and Richard Porter said it to him. I was like, yeah, it's a really bloody good idea. I'm really annoyed. So I've taken some inspiration from them and gone, right, what's something simple that could be repeatable, that can be chopped up into chunks, create social media stuff. So Let's Talk About It is that. The one I recorded on the way here was me moaning about being on the motorway. Because motorway driving is, it's just horrendous. People's driving standards on the motorway is awful. The annoying thing is there's no car spots. Because it was 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning in January, I was basically the only interesting car on the road, surrounded by morons. So the drivecast will be shorter, and there'll be less. It'll be more. Look at this dick. Look at this idiot. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, it makes it more entertaining.
the funny thing is, whenever I post like dashcam footage
Yeah.
on social media, it gets so much traction,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
never good traction. It's always people criticising.
Oh, you should have done that.
I had a Tesla cut me up on a roundabout, and I shared it, and someone was like, "Oh, you shouldn't have been in the left lane going round him." I was like, "Where the hell was I supposed to be? I was just in my lane. I just went straight on in my lane, and you just." So I ended up just deleting them. But this is intentionally about starting conversations in one way or another.
Is this going to be? I take it this won't be a podcast.
It won't be a podcast because
you need to see
it's going to be situational. You have to kind of see what's going on for it to make sense. There's no point me going, this knobhead sat up my arse and now I'm pulling in and this.
And you're just
if you just
it
listen
would
to
make
that,
it an awkward.
It'd be a weird
audio.
podcast.
Yeah, unless you just want to hear him getting road rage.
Yeah, it's just angry man shouts at cloud for 10 minutes. But yeah, that's a new project that hopefully will gain a bit of traction, and it seems to be getting some views on Instagram already, and I think it's a bit off the back of the Takona audience already existing. But yeah, that's another fun thing is Let's Talk About It. TLK for talk as well, not full talk.
I'm sure people will link it.
Yeah, it's
we'll
all
link it
Takona's
in.
talking about it. So
We'll link it in. I don't know where you find the time to do all this.
I
you know
have
what I mean.
ADHD, mate. The difficult part is doing it consistently.
Right, are we
Awesome.
signing off?
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming
thanks for
on.
having me, boys.
Thank you for coming on.
I'm sure you'll be on again, and
I'm happy
We'll
to come
chat
back.
more.
And we'll talk about stuff
And
relevant to
we'll
the situation.
We
we'll
probably
do.
might even film something this weekend at the meet.
Well,
Probably.
I know there's bits we spoke about that we want to work on in the future, but
I
yeah,
can bring my
I'm
torque wrench
sure.
on Sunday. We can check
Yes, he showed me
I'm showing
earlier.
some
It's
pictures of it
epic.
earlier, yeah.
Insert picture here.
I will do.
It's epic.
It's very
It's a
cool.
microphone camera, microphone
Holder.
Holder.
I need to be careful what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a microphone.
I'm gonna
holder.
insert a picture
torque
there
wrench.
as well.
It's a torque wrench. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, thank you
God
for
bless.
watching. God
Cheers,
bless.
guys.
Stay safe. Happy New Year.
Please make a reel of how many times he played around with his hat.
Oh Jesus!
It's really
It's
itchy.
just
I know. It's because
Do you get
my
that
head's
itchy,
really warm.
Yeah, you get the itchy ring as well.
It's because my